guys, Dr. Yu here. I'm gonna use the next few minutes to talk about the assignments you need to complete for week 7. Before I do that, I just want to talk about a couple things about the lecture test that you did in the past week. First of all, the score, the grade you have now is not final. I still need to check your test recording to make sure that everything looks good. Alright, so your grades are not final until I looked at your video recording. Second thing is that a couple of students who took the lecture test early brought to my attention that some of the questions were graded wrong. And I checked the Blackboard. It turned out that all the questions that were graded wrong were from the last chapter, chapter 4, cell structure and function. So what happened is that when I imported the test questions in Word file, for whatever reason, Blackboard treated the correct answers as option A for all the questions. So if the correct answer is not A, then Blackboard would grade your question wrong. Okay, so that was what the issue was. I have fixed the issue. If you still have questions about the grading, let me know. What you can do is you can go to your test, and if you're not sure about whether the question was graded correctly, you can take a screenshot of what question you want to ask me about, and then I can look through and let you know. All right. Now, again, the questions that were graded wrong were only from the cell structure and function chapter, not the other 3 chapters. All right, just a couple announcements about the lecture test. All right, now let's look at the assignments for this coming week. I'm gonna leave the PowerPoint slides like that so I can switch between PowerPoint and Blackboard. All right, now for the lecture, we are going to talk about cell communication chapter for this week. Now, from this chapter, the materials are going to get more difficult, all right? Because for cell communication, we're talking about something that's more at the cellular level and a molecular level. So it's going to be more difficult. It's going to be different than what you are familiar with, right, on the larger scale. So you really need to start it really hard, spend more time on the course material. And of course, you have to complete the Lumen study plan and quiz. When you look at the lecture recordings, you will notice that there are 5 videos. Now, I know that looks a lot, but what happens is I kind of broke the long lecture to smaller videos, shorter videos, so that it's a little bit easier to get through. So that's why you're going to see 5 shorter videos instead of 2 very long ones. All right. Now, make sure you go through each one. The videos are going to help with your teaching assignment, because for this week's teaching assignment, you cannot just talk about whatever you want to talk about. I actually have assigned specific topics for you to discuss in the teaching assignment, because that topic is very important. So if you do it in your teaching assignment, hopefully that will help kind of strengthen your understanding, and also helps me evaluate like how much you have learned. All right, so that's for lecture. And when you look at lab, we are going to complete a week 7, how enzymes function. All right, now I'm making this chapter a little bit easier for you. So you don't need to complete the whole lab workbook. All right, so again, do not download the lab workbook from the eScience website and do it, because I have simplified that lab work. So follow my instructions. First of all, you do have to download a data collection file from the submission link. But this is different than a normal lab workbook. It does not have any questions. It just has the tables where you use to record the data from the virtual lab. All right. Now, after that, you are going to see a quiz. Okay, a quiz here. So the quiz questions are from the questions in the lab workbook. So this week I was able to convert most of the questions to quiz questions, so that it's a little bit easier for you to complete and you can get feedback much more quickly. All right, now let me show you what it looks like. So if we go to Blackboard and you go to week 7, this is where you see eScience Lab enzymes, and then when you open that, you're going to see 3 items, right? First is the eScience lab. You have to go through their reading materials, and there are virtual labs you have to complete. Now, while you're doing the virtual lab, make sure you download this workbook to your computer before you start the virtual lab so that you can record data. Alright, so this is what it looks like, and you can see that I have deleted the pre-lab questions and post-lab questions. Alright, so all you are going to see is this data table right here, and then you're going to use the data to create a graph, okay, like what you did for the cell structure, cell function lab. Alright, now if you have any questions about how to use Excel or any other app to create the file, on Tuesday during the online class meeting, I will go over the cell structure lab, and then I will show you how to make a graph. All right. Okay, now once you're done with the virtual lab, you're done with data collection, making the graph, you come down here, do the enzyme lab quiz. All right. So that's all for the lab. All right, now I just have one more note about the online class meetings. So on Tuesday, we'll just meet in the regular time, right, from 2 to 3 p.m. On Wednesday, I do have a doctor's appointment at 1 p.m. I think I might be able to get back before 2:15, but I'm not confident. If the traffic is bad or if the doctor's office, if everything is backed up, then it may take longer. So I'm going to change the class meeting time from 2 to 3 to 2:30 to 3. And hopefully I will be back before 2:30, maybe even before 2:15, so that we can still meet, but it's going to be a little bit shorter. And on Tuesday, like I said, I will go over the cell structure lab, go over the calculations and making graph, and hopefully we'll have some time to talk about diffusion. And then on Wednesday, we will continue on cell transport, but we're going to talk about osmosis and hopefully active transport as well. So those are the very important topics from the lecture last week. All right, so here is the plan. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a great week, everybody.